For more on this, let's bring in former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley podcast, Monica Crowley herself. Monica, good to see you. So we're hearing Democrats talk about this is a market failure. But listen, when you bring in 15 million migrants into this country, and they need houses as well, and the government oftentimes is paying for their housing, this is a basic supply and demand issue. Of course there's not enough housing for Americans.
That's right.
Because the migrants are taking them.
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, the Fed chairman the other day, Jerome Powell, made this exact point when he was talking about cutting interest rates. He was making the point because now the Fed is really focused on the labor market. It looks like there's some slack now in the labor market. So the Fed has said, look, we're still concerned about inflation, but now we have a keen eye on the labor market. And one of the huge reasons why is because we have had a massive influx of illegal aliens into this country over the last 3.5 years. To the tune of 10 million, maybe 12 million. President Trump often talks about 15, 16 million. We actually have no idea how many have come in. The laws of economics are hard and fast, and they're very unforgiving. So the supply and demand point that you are saying is exactly right. In places like Springfield, Ohio, which has been in the crucible recently because a town of 60,000 people had to absorb overnight 20,000 Haitian migrants. The cost of rent in that city has gone through the roof because, again, the supply has been constricted by this massive overnight influx of tens of thousands of additional people who need a roof over their head. So, of course, the prices go up. And the people who are bearing the brunt of all of this inflation, including on housing, is the middle class, the working class, and the poor. Those are the groups that Kamala Harris and the Democrats profess to want to champion. They're the ones that are being crushed by these astronomical prices.
They only want to use housing as an excuse to spend more borrowed money and to hike taxes on the rich. It is a money grab and it's a power grab, and it always is. And the American Action Forum, run by Douglas Holtz-Eakin, looked at this proposal, the Homes Act of 2024, and found that there are more than 131 million households in the U.S. So another 125,000 units each year would give less than 0.1% of households a home. It is not about houses. It is about a takeover, pure and simple.
This is what the invasion is all about, right? I mean, what we have been witnessing, thanks to Kamala Harris's no borders policy. This is not an open borders policy. This is a full erasure of America's borders. That no borders policy has brought in, like we said, tens of millions of illegal immigrants. They're coming into these communities and, of course, draining the resources that are meant for American citizens. So whether it's housing, whether it's hospitals, medical care, education, the schools in these communities are being overrun. And, you know, we talk a lot about the big cities. Like, we're sitting here in New York. New York is spending billions of taxpayer dollars to accommodate these people. But there's less attention on mid-sized communities and small towns. I was just in Wisconsin, Sean, about a week and a half ago, and I heard from members of Congress there and small town mayors. They're saying, we can't absorb this. We're getting no help from our state government, no help from the federal government, and we're expected to take care of all of these people. The prices are going up for American citizens as a result of this, who can no longer afford just basic everyday necessities.
It's made them so angry, which is why prices and the economy are such a big deal in this election. Let's move to this because the unemployment rate is sitting at 4.2%. I want to talk about something you mentioned earlier, Monica. Jerome Powell made a comment about what's driving it all, and he's getting, it's not getting as much coverage as it should. Again, you made this point. Let's listen to it.
We understand there's been quite an influx across the borders, and that has actually been one of the things that's allowed unemployment rate to rise. And the other thing is just the slower hiring rate, which is something we also watch carefully.
And it goes to the point, too, that migrants have seen all the job growth in the country, and American-born citizens have actually seen less jobs in the Biden-Harris economy.
Yeah, no, and that is a critical point. This is what happens when you have America last. President Trump gave us America first. He had a pro-growth economic agenda that included striking fair trade deals with major trading partners like China, like Japan, South Korea, Mexico, Canada, in order to protect the American worker. He put in tariffs to try to reshore, onshore manufacturing jobs, and he brought manufacturing back to the tune of 420,000 jobs. He is all about putting the American worker first, the American taxpayer first, hardworking American families. This policy over the last 3.5 years under Kamala Harris has been America last. So whether it's inflation, whether it's housing, whether it's the border, the collapse of law and order, the collapse of our cities and small towns, it is always about putting the American citizen on the back heel. And I think most Americans are sick of it. And they're ready for a change.
Monica, thank you so much.